how do we actually say, here's what I really want sexually, here's what I want in the partnership, here's what I'm frustrated with, here's what I need. How do we say, like, hey, I really love you and I want to be with, how do we do those things? We get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
We get ready to be in those moments, and how to be in the unknown, because in those situations don't actually know what's going to happen. And when we can just be in the present moment, then amazing things open up.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Situaseans podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka seanydoo. You can call me Sean, seanydoo. Does not matter to me. I'm just glad that y'all are here. And I have a special guest here, Morgan Rich. He is an author. He is also a coach. He is also a group leader and a group facilitator and author of the book, The Invitation Beyond. And founder of Threshold Coaching. So you know what? Give a special welcome to our guest, Morgan. Morgan, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks. It's sweet to be here, Sean, and just love the opening. Get the little dancing going on. Dancing is always good for the soul. And I heard this great thing that someone said, wow, you're really depressed. You're really having a hard time. And this old ancient elder just said, when was the last time you danced?
Yeah.
And dancing, getting that movement in our bodies. I mean, I think we'll explore this so much today, but it's just like that freedom to move, to play. And I use dance all the time for, like, just deepening connection and playing. I think playing actually with all the stuff the stuff about dating and relationships and all that, it shows up in dance. So,
It really does. It really does. And it's very expressive. And it's just good to just be able to just express yourself in that way for sure.
yeah,
And those
freedom of movement and freedom of spirit.
Yes, I like that. I like that. Freedom of spirit. Yes. And those of you that are tuning in for the first time, Situations podcast, we talk about dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. Ooh, fucking we go through everything. Life is complex. And and today Morgan Rich, he is going to help us unpack everything about life, showing up for yourself, and also, how, relationships can change for the better when men stop performing and start, speaking their truth. So I'm excited to get into that.
Nice. Love it. Yes, yes, yes. Some good juicy territory in there.
Oh, yes. And kind of just to like start off, can you tell us like what city are you dialing in from, and like let us know all about where you're from?
Yeah, sweet. I am dialing in from Portland, Oregon, and I moved my family here in the early 2000s. Kids were young. We moved from Chicago seeking nature. We just were like, we want to be connected to nature. We want the kids to be connected to nature. And Portland and Oregon is just such a beautiful, beautiful place to live. Where uh, it's dark now because we're approaching the solstice, but in the fall, and the leaves are just finally leaving the trees, but it is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous here in the fall. I love it. I just love the seasons. I love the life and death part of it. I always connect to that in my practice. It's just so much a part of what we'll talk about, just that we are part of the natural world. So in Portland, you're out here in the rain, you're out here in the weather, you just get connected to the natural world in a way that to me feels really beautiful and organic.
Absolutely. And I love that. Like you're really advertising and really selling it to me. I've never been to Portland, so you know what? I think I'm gonna make some plans to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. And just huge trees, green, it is beautiful. Sean, you should, I do recommend coming and visiting, and we can hang out and, go, I'll show you around.
Absolutely. Yes. Definitely looking forward to that. And also you mentioned Chicago. I'm actually from Chicago as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I grew up there. I grew up in Chicago, and have a lot of affinity for the city. And I'm a West Coast, Pacific Northwest guy these days.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. So I live in LA these days, but yeah, moved from Chicago about a year ago to kind of just pursue like all the arts and acting and stuff like that. But yeah,
Hmm.
grew up on the south side, and then like in my 20s I lived on the north side, and kind of just hopped around different areas on the north side just to see, what area on the north side I would like most. So lived in Rogers Park, Andersonville, where else? I did Skokie for a couple of seconds,
Mhm.
So yeah, before I moved out to California, the last Chicago neighborhood I was in on the north side was Irving Park. I loved it there. It was right next to Wrigleyville, all that. So yeah, it's just cool to kind of hear another like Chicago and like, a true, someone who also grew up in Chicago.
Yeah, and the other funny thing that like that's you're in the city. Like I am totally. It's funny. I am such a nature guy.
Yeah.
I love nature. I want to be out. I want to be with the trees. I want to be in the creeks. I want to be in the cold water. And I grew up in the city of Chicago. And it just is it's funny to me that I wasn't connected to nature. Actually, it was a really hard part of my childhood that I didn't feel as connected to nature as I wish which I think if I had grown up in Portland. One reason we moved our kids here and raised them here was to be connected to the natural world. But Rogers Park, lived in Rogers Park. My mom, had it right in Wrigleyville and in Irving and Clark, right by Graceland Cemetery. I grew
Yeah.
up in Lincoln Park. I went to school. It's the Chicago roots are deep, man. So all the spots.
Oh yeah. And for any of our listeners that have probably been to Chicago or from Chicago, like all the neighborhoods that were mentioned, I'm sure is resonating with you all as well. And if you haven't been to Chicago, definitely visit. Like definitely give it a visit. We would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, and Portland first.
Exactly. There you go. Portland, then LA, then Chicago.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so also so like the work that you do and just coaching people, it sounds like you're coaching people all over the world. It's not just to like one location, right?
Yeah, I mean, because of the new world, it's so much, we can do so much online and in those ways that I like to I've traveled with people all over the world. Like I take clients and have on adventures, because I really figure that the way that this work really happens and the way that I do this is, hey, I'm not interested in conceptual frameworks and this system that works this way, because what I know is I know that life is messy, and the moments that really matter are the ones when you're out on the trail with people, when you're in life's interesting moments, in the depth, in the intensity, in the discomfort, in the like mess of relationships, of figuring out how to do things. Do I leave? Do I stay? Do we get married? Do we not get married? Do I change the job? Like those places where the soul is coming alive, where the spirit is like, oh, I know there's something I got to do, and I'm terrified to do it.
Yeah.
Like those juicy places, to me, hanging out in those places is where life happens. And so the coaching is all over. The groups that I run are online. So we have guys, not only we have young guys in there and older guys. Like we have a 16, 18 and 20-year-old, and we got a 71-year-old. And to bring those generations together from around the world, the diversity is really beautiful. I'm grateful. I feel honored and grateful to be able to do the work that I do in the ways that I do. And I both love and think I'm really good at being in those really intense places with people where it's really uncomfortable. Um, where people are confronted with all of their stuff, where they're wanting to quit and give up. And how do we cross those thresholds? How do we go towards, not away from, life's important places, the discomfort, right? That we step towards the intensity. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, and it's just so great just hearing the passion that you have doing all of this and just yeah, helping so many people. Can I ask like how many years have you been coaching?
Yeah. Well, sort of like forever and like 20 years, you know,
Wow.
in that sense of I just, yeah, Sean, my dad died when I was 18.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And yeah, it was, I was just right in that place. I was a pretty lost kid. I was an athlete, lots of big dreams to play hockey and baseball and, professionally. And right at this transformational moment, the main male figure in my life dies. I'm headed out to college. I didn't know why I was going to college. Very confused about that. Right now, these days, I do a lot of work with people, helping them decide, if you're going to go, why. Let's not invest years of time, money, energy into a system, into a program when you don't really know why you're going. It doesn't make sense to me. There's a lot of other ways to learn. So and that was me. And so the coaching started then. Like, it just came online of the place of, I got to follow my heart, and I'm going to learn to do this. And um, I just love working with young people, and I needed someone at that point in my life. I needed someone at that moment to help me see the world in a different way. Because what was happening was all the energy of school, all the energy of the therapist that I went to see, of my professors. It was all towards just conform. Like, there's this way to do things. There's this way that you're successful in the world, to keep chasing, money, success, resume, status quo kind of stuff. And I just got to say, like, that didn't resonate with me. Like, it just didn't, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I was being forced into a life that just I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't do it, and I was dying, in this this just like, and I needed someone to help me know that I wasn't crazy, because I felt like I was crazy. I felt like none of this is human. It's not about connection and love and following my heart and the things that really matter. And I just was looking out in the world going, like, we are off course. We are, like, this, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. And so why is everyone like telling me to do that when it's not working?
Right. Yeah.
You know, like, what the fuck is going on? And so I needed someone in my life to be able to say, like, hey, that heart, that care, that whatever that thing is in you that's wanting to come alive, like, let's focus on that. You are not alone in the world. You are not insane. You are not off course. Actually, you are you're connected to something that really matters. That is about the essence of life and love and connection and beauty and all that is good that's possible. Like, I didn't know, like, I didn't know any of that, and I didn't have anybody to guide me. So my coaching is about being in those places right now with young people and older men who to say, like, no, we know there is a better way forward in this world.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's so true because sometimes people do get lost, especially whenever we go through some of these pivotal or even just traumatic moments in life and we kind of just lose ourselves. And so I'm so glad that you found that passion and you're helping other people. Cause, like, yeah, like you said, you didn't have that when you needed it most. And now you're being that person that you wish, existed when you were going through that. So is so cool to hear how you're paying that forward.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. It's been, it's not for the faint of heart. Let's say, it's a journey of, when you step outside of the mainstream narrative. What I say in the book, I talk, and just think, the invitation beyond. Right? The invitation beyond the status quo, the invitation beyond all the nonsense, the invitation into our hearts, into our knowing, into the place in us that knows that we want deep, rich connections with people, that we are part of, not separate from the natural world, that the only way out of this life is to die, just like the leaves do in the fall, just like happens all the time in the natural world. There's life and there is death and there's change and there's dynamicness and there's beauty and there's trauma and there's all of it. And we are part of it, not separate from
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, exactly. Because yeah, it's so much that definitely goes on, and like you were just saying, you know, the world and the universe, it does work in just some of the most mysterious ways. And yeah, no one's going to have it all figured out. And that's why we do have to kind of connect because as a human species, we're wired to connect. We're not wired to just do life by ourselves and just figure it because no, it's a miserable life. And at the end of the day, nobody can just do it alone. Everybody needs help in some way, shape, or form. So yeah.
it. Yeah, and yeah, and it feels like my sense and my belief is that we each have that thing inside of us that wants to come alive.
Yes.
That we each are here because we've chosen to be here at this particular time in this wild, wacky world. that we each have gifts, we each have things to bring. You bring your playfulness and your passion and your curiosity, and just you have this energy about you that is part of your gift that you offer this world, that you bring to your listeners,
Yeah.
that you bring to people. If each of us can stand fully in that knowing of, here I am, right? Here I am. Here's me, my particular talents, my particular abilities. And I can fully live those, not the ones I'm supposed to. Like in school, we take standardized tests. We're trying to standardize children. We're trying to standardize people. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why do we want people to be standard and all to know the same equations and the same way to solve things? No, I want each of us to be our wild, dynamic self. Please, like, bring your particular flavor of aliveness here. Like, let's do that and see what happens in the world. Rather than this nonsense of whatever is going on here, that we're just super lost and like destructive and not very happy. Also, by the way, for particularly men, right? I mean, they're dying left and right, suicide, drug use, just it's terrible. So to me, the uniqueness is really significant. Like, let's be our beautiful selves and like really know, like, be in love with ourselves.
Yes.
That's huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you often work with people kind of like what is it called? Threshold moments. Can you kind of like what makes these times so powerful even just during these transformations?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it's like I mean, I have so many stories of it. One client, a person I worked with was, she was at this place where she had been in a relationship for a long time and was headed down the road of getting. She knew that her partner was going to ask her to get married, and she was like, "This isn't good." Like, she just knew.
Yeah.
She knew what the answer was, and yet her family. There was pressure from a family. There was obviously pressure from a partner. There was pressure from their family. There was pressure from the culture. She's getting older, and there's all this momentum that starts to be like, okay, this is like what happened to me in college. Like, just go, just say yes, and everything will be okay down the road. And yet, like, she was in a place where she was like,
Yeah.
no,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
she just knew it. And yet, it's a really tender place. That's not an easy conversation to have. And so we had many, many conversations about, okay, how do you bring yourself into this moment? Because the thing about it is that the further you get down the road, you say yes, then the wedding planning starts, then you have a venue, then you've put money down on this deposit, then you have the band, then you set out the invitations, and your inside is going like, oh God, like this, like and the further down that road you get, then you get married, then you have kids, and like the further down that road you get, the harder it gets to actually listen to self. So that first moment, that first time to be able to just say the hard thing, And so what I did was we would talk before she would go talk to her partner, and we would talk beforehand and say like, okay, here's what this is going to sound like and look like, and here's the hard moments. And she would go and she would kind of do it and kind of mess it up and kind of get in there. And then we talk afterwards and be like, okay, how we doing? How was the reaction? But being with people in those moments is a massive honor. And those are really challenging moments, but they're the moments of life. Like, those are the moments we have to pay attention to. So another example was a long-time client who got broken up with. And he was just heartbroken. Like, he was just like, for the first time in his life, this thing came alive in him where he was like, oh my God, I really like this person, and I can be the man that I know myself to be. I can be a partner that I really want to like be. And then she pulls out. And he was like, oh my God, this thing. And he was just in the pain of like his soul, is his spirit. And he was a guy who's been struggling to be loved for a long time. So he was like, finally, he started to emerge and like open that place, that tender, beautiful, powerful place inside of him of like, oh my God, I'm going to get to share and love and be loved in a way I never have. And then bam, So then he calls and he's just crying, and we honor the tears. And there's not a system or here's Morgan's 3 rules for how to navigate this, because it's a human moment. It's about being present with someone. I don't know what to say in that moment. There's nothing you can say. You just listen and be with them and honor it, and know that we're just going to keep doing this breath and doing this breath, and it's going to be okay. And then you kind of start to work out of it. You start to, open it up with this like tender, beautiful place. So those are the threshold moments. Like those are the moments of where things really, really, really break open, and to me are the beautiful moments of life. And if I may, there's just another one, which is like all the transitions in life. I'm never going to be a high school student again, right? That part of my life is dead. It is over with. And so for me to think, so to honor that threshold and do it, I do ceremonies with families to say, we sit on one side of a threshold, like we build a threshold, and we sit on one side and say, okay, high school is about to end for all of us, right? Parents, kids, all of it. What have been the beautiful moments? What have been the hard moments? We're about to say goodbye to this time of life, and it's never going to come back. Just like the fall leaves are not going to, they're gone. They'll be back next year in a different version, in a different way, because that's what happens. So we give an honoring ceremonial goodbye to that part of life. And then we step across the threshold and welcome in the new, like a forest fire, right? Forest fire has to happen. It's beautiful, regenerative, because the forest burns, there's a death, and then comes the birth. So we step across a threshold and we open into this place of, okay, now what do we get to be excited about? What are we afraid of out here in this new possibility of what's happening now after this? And for that honoring those moments sends this beautiful message to the psyche, to the inner place of saying like, okay, little d death happened. Like my psyche can rest knowing I'm not ever going to be in high school again.
Yeah.
It's just over. And so great, honor that, feel the loss, feel the excitement, and then moving to the next. So there's a bunch of threshold, pieces in there.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think it is important to kind of, for the people listening and tuning in and watching that, yeah, life does move on. And you said, there's just certain moments that you can never like relive. And so you have to kind of acknowledge that, like just exactly what, Morgan's saying here, life is going to go on, the choice is up to you. Are you, as far as like, are you going to live your life or just let life just pass by you? So yeah.
Yeah, and I always say, like, training for the unknown is another part of the invitation beyond. Training for the unknown.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we do a lot is we talk about like, oh yeah, when you get into those moments, just be confident, or just trust your partner. It's like, okay, well that's a really, yeah, totally. I want to be confident. Yeah, totally. I want to trust my partner. But how in the hell do I do that? Like what does that actually mean in the intensity of a moment? It's like, no, so that's training. Like we got to train to be in those moments. And so that then when we're in them, we can actually, rummage around and have the learning that's going to happen in there rather than just avoiding it. So much of training for the unknown, and just to say, inside of unknown is the word now, the present moment.
Yes.
So training for the unknown, training for the now. Because if we can just, all the wisdom traditions, it's not that complicated life, right? Be present.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like just be present. If we can just be in this moment, like we can do this moment right now.
Mhm.
And then 30 seconds from now, we're going to have another moment, and we have no idea right now where we're going to be in 30 seconds. But I promise you that we're going to be able to know exactly how to navigate that moment when it gets here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering too, like now, like it kind of just posed a question in my head, like I guess how can people better be prepared for the unknown? Because I think that's the one thing that we are all afraid of as humans is the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I think it's all there is,
Yeah.
because it's like, again, the wisdom traditions say like, be present. And so it's like, okay, simple. That's a simple idea, but there's so much nuance in how to actually do that. and again, like, you talk a lot about relationships and connections and all these things, and how do we be in those intimate moments with people? How do we actually say, here's what I really want sexually, here's what I want in the partnership, here's what I'm frustrated with, here's what I need? How do we say, like, hey, I really love you and I want to be with, how do we do those things? We get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right. We get ready to be in those moments, and how to be in the unknown, because in those situations, we don't actually know what's going to happen. And when we can just be in the present moment, then amazing things open up,
Yeah.
because it's just like, okay, here I am in this dynamic moment again. Like I said, here we are 30 seconds later. We didn't know we would be here, but now we're here, and we're going to be somewhere else a minute from now, and we're going to be able to handle that unknown also.
Yeah.
And sometimes the unknown moments get super fucking intense, like super intense. But you can when you train for them, then you can just be in those and go like, okay, here I am. Okay. So back to your question, how do we train for it? Again, it's in the book. And I actually do have for your listeners if you go to morganrich.com/courage, it's about like your next courageous step. And so there's a little guide that they can download and just take a look at that talks through some of this stuff. So,
Perfect.
and
You
they can
all
schedule
get
time
that.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, come on down. Here it is. To me, it's about discomfort training. It's about learning to be uncomfortable. And so here's a couple different ways that I did it. I went to yoga.
Yeah.
As a young guy, I had a really serious, I was a hockey player, am a hockey player, scored 4 goals today.
All right.
And right, 55-year-old, damn, playing with younger guys. I had a really serious neck injury. And one of the gifts of the neck injury, because I see all this adversity in my life as gifts, my dad dying, this injury, they're gifts, they're things that awaken something in me. That I started doing yoga because I was like, I gotta heal this. And in yoga, one, being a dude and going to yoga is unusual. More normal these days. But I had to confront my body not being what I wanted it to be. My body being, I was strong. I'm a strong dude. Like I take care of my body, and I always have. But I was a weightlifter. I was a hockey player. I was a tough guy. And I tried to do a yoga pose, and it was embarrassing. Like I couldn't even hold the pose. I was like shaking, and I'm looking around, and all these other people are like, just like calm, you know, and it triggered this thing in me of like, oh, I got to learn how to breathe, how to be in this discomfort to be with my body. And it's humiliating. And I would say the real yoga isn't the physical pose. It's the narrative inside of myself. It's learning how to talk and be really kind to myself. It's learning how to know that I can be in each moment of life and be okay. And that life isn't promised, and um so it's like being in the uncomfortable moments. I also do it with cold water training. That's in the book. Where like you start to be able to be in cold water. And for me, the key moments of that is I have a great story about getting into the cold water in I love waterfalls. So the waterfalls here are cold. So I get in and I freak out. And I'm like, whoa, God, that's whoa. So I was like, okay, that's not helpful for my system. So I got in the next day and I'm like, calm, calm. So I made a commitment to myself to always go into cold water when I'm near it, and to be in showers and always have a moment of cold. And when I'm there, to be in the sensation of the experience and be like, okay, here I am in adversity and I'm okay. And I have my commitment to myself is a moment of calm where my nervous system, I'm not like I'm calm in my cells. I'm saying to my cells, to my nervous system, to my physical body, it's okay. I'm okay. Dying. It's a lot of sensation, and I'm okay. And then you get present. And then that moment has, for me, expanded. And the beautiful part of that, Sean, is not only can it be like uncomfortable feelings, it can be joy too. Or in a sexual situation, being able to be really present and say, okay, here I am, a lot of sensation going on. How can I be calm and present and listening to my partner, really write it right in there? So to me, those are the training places that help us be ready for the unknown, right? That help us get ready to be in that place of, okay, I can do hard things.
Yeah.
I can do hard things.
That's really powerful. I really appreciate you kind of just unpacking that because that I think it, even for, like for me just listening, it kind of just calmed me down because like, I'm like, wow, yeah, because I know that I'm guilty of it sometimes too, being like, yeah, well, when it comes to the unknown, like, am I gonna be okay? Like, we all approach it with such anxiety. And sometimes like, yeah, we do forget, okay, it's about being in the moment. Sometimes we forget about that. So even just hearing like your process and even just like, the best way that you approach that, that definitely does calm me down. It helps me too. So I
Yeah,
know it's going to help some of the listeners.
that's
Um,
awesome.
and
There is another piece. If just the other piece is just to
yeah,
say that it's about naming it. The unknown, because the unknown is unknown. I'm in a place in my life now because I've been doing the training and working this for a long time, where I don't have like good days and bad days. I don't have like good experiences and bad experience. What's happened is those have like blurred together and they're just experience. It's just experience. It's like what I get to live today is experience because it's all learning and it's all just being together. But sometimes when we're present in the unknown, like it's not all good. The natural world is full of death and full of disease and full of challenges and full of difficulty, and we're part of that. And so getting good at being able to be with those and just knowing like, okay, my daily practice is I sit every morning and I connect to the man I know myself to be, which is connecting to all these good feelings in myself. I take 5 minutes, whether in bed or sitting in meditation, and sometimes it turns into more, really connecting in, knowing that even in the hard moments, I am going to be okay. Because there are going to be hard moments. Life is not easy. We all experience difficulty. We all experience challenges. And to be able to be okay inside of those, knowing that those are here for our learning, for our, just being, is really important. So that's an important part of it also, because that then allows meaning and purpose to come in, of saying like, okay, I can be here and I'm going to take advantage of every moment of my day, and live it as fully as I can. And then when this shit happens, it's like, okay, well, you know,
yeah.
I've lived up to this moment as full as I can in the best way, and now I get to deal with this thing. It's like, okay, I can do that.
I think it reminds people too to it's okay to like let your feelings sink in and just feel because society, especially even just as men, a lot of times society teaches men, oh, just suck it up, move on, like don't process it, you're a guy, you shouldn't have to cry or feel like. It's like, no, it's okay to feel. We need to feel.
Yeah, right. And I would just say, like, that was a nice distinction. Like, it's not only that it's okay to feel; it's actually really important, and it is the way I was saying before our call. We sort of jumped in and said like, how to give your partner what she really wants, what they really want, is
Yeah.
that emotional availability,
Yeah.
right? Is presence, is for women not needing to mother their partners. Like, can you think of anything less sexy than having to mother your partner,
Exactly.
right? To like
It's the
take care
turn
of
off.
emotion. I mean, it's an immediate. So like that's great. Like it's just you're like, oh, like what could be a bigger turn on?
Exactly.
So it's not just a need. It's not just like it would be good. It's like no, no, no. That's the keys to the kingdom right there.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's, we hear plus we hear that on social media too with like the rise of, even just podcasts, other like digital media formats where people talk about this. And we do hear, women say like, yeah, I'm tired of, but like, if I went on a date with this guy or whatever, I'm dating this guy, he doesn't want to do laundry, doesn't want to carry his weight, but wants me to do everything for him. It's like, yeah, I think it's so true. Like no one wants to, partner like with like no one like wants to like mother their own partner. Like it's supposed to be a relationship where like you're both co-piloting that plane and taking that relationship wherever it is that you both want it to go. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna go down a funny road that will go down this. But it's like, um, I think one of the metaphors of this for me is the whole thing about cock size. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing of like, well, you think that women want big cocks. And there's all this like subtle, not so subtle, actually not at all subtle messages in the media, in TV shows, in movies, on shows, like all the time of like, haha, yeah, I've got a big dick. And it's like and everyone's like, yeah, ha ha ha, and it's this thing of like, one, we can't do anything about it. I mean, unless you want to go have surgery or whatever it is. But and it's just our anatomy. And it's like we just let it be this narrative that is just like, oh, the bigger your cock, the better man you are. Or I imagine for women, it's like the bigger your breast, the better woman you are, whatever it is. And it is so fucking not true. I mean, it's just flat out not true. I mean, talk to any woman who has any, ground in them. My partner and I talk about it all the time. She's like, no, that does not matter at all. There are some things that do matter, right? That emotional availability, connection, presence, passion, like that stuff matters. And there is some level of like sexual compatibility of like we have different parts. Like some women have big vaginas and then they would want a big cock. Some guys have big cocks and they want a bigger vagina. Some guys have little cocks and would want a littler vagina. Like that kind of thing, like that matters way more than this wacky idea, that the bigger the better. And so it's just and it's relevant because it's like this narrative that we buy into,
Yeah.
that's just like, oh, if I'm just this kind of guy, if I'm just the guy who can last really long and has a big dick, then like women are gonna want me and like me. And it's like, wow, could we be further from the truth? Like that is just so not what people want.
Yeah.
Like that is far away from love.
Exactly. Yeah, because this guy down here, I definitely agree with you on that. Because it's like, yeah, it's like, who cares if like a certain guy like has a size on him, but he's terrible in relationships? What good is that gonna do? Like
I mean, it's like okay, great. I mean, like okay, and I think I think we're confused in the culture
hmm
because I think that a lot of women actually think like sort of buy into that narrative or want that or whatever it is. Like there is that, and that's you know that's there. To me, that's not what we really want. That's not love and connection and the intimacy and the passion and the connection we're really after. It's not about appearances or what kind of car you drive or what kind of clothes you wear.
Yeah.
Like we got to get past all that crap and get into the beautiful connection and intimacy of life, of liveness, of human messiness, of getting into the nitty gritty together. Cause that to me is where connection and love really happen.
Absolutely. Because like the people that have like the most like, like the longest like relationships and even just like longevity and even just like they've worked hard at those relationships, like the relationships that have been like, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and so on. Not once in those secure relationships or the relationships that I'm talking about that have been going on for a while. Not once ever heard anybody say, "Oh yeah, what I love so, like most about most or what carried this relationship is like this person's like features or whatever materials like they have is all about, oh no, it's like this person has a good heart, this person has done this and this and this for me, we do we do these cute things together, like we show up for each other, so yeah. um
Yeah. And it's yeah, there's a weird cultural narrative that gets us away from that, and is thinking like that men that we shouldn't cry, shouldn't be emotional. The same thing happens with tears. Whenever you see a man cry, everyone's like, they always apologize.
yeah.
And I'm like, why are you apologizing for being touched by a moment, for being overwhelmed with emotion, for feeling something deeply, whether it be winning a football game or losing your parent or seeing your kid do something amazing. Like, what a beautiful expression.
Yeah.
Please don't apologize. Thank you for the tears. Thank you. Like, that's what I think healthy, the invitation beyond reclaiming healthy masculinity is a subtitle. And it's about that. It's about reclaiming this, like, we know this.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not that complicated.
Right. I guess sometimes we just like to complicate things because, like, why make it easy, right?
Yeah, totally.
um
More fun that way.
exactly. And I'm kind of wondering too, in what way, because like I know this is kind of like the theme of the episode, in what way can men like learn how to stop performing and start speaking their truth? Like, what does that look like or even sound like to you, even as a coach?
Yeah. It's such a beautiful question. And to me, it starts right here. It really starts with self. And as I said, I have a morning practice. And what I do is in my morning practice, and we talk about this in my groups, like we really work on this. I had a hilarious moment recently with a young guy I was working with, been working with him for 2 years. Talk about morning practice all the time. And then and just last week, he was like, I should do a morning practice. And I was like, dude, we've been talking about this for two years. And it was just this funny developmental thing where he finally it's finally caught him in that way of like the epiphany of like, oh, that would be really helpful. And so as a coach, it's an interesting moment of like how to hang with people as they're making their way to these moments, um and then how to communicate the messages and get it through. So here's the effort today. I make a commitment every day to sit for 5 minutes. And I say connect into the man I know myself to be, because what I know is that I know what it feels like to be myself in the way I want to be. Like I was talking about earlier, with
Hmm.
like when I was in college and all that after my dad died. Like I got connected during the grief and the tears and the pain of that, of what it feels like to be me and to stand for myself, to stand for the things I believe in most, to be like to bring my heart forward and treat the people in my life and to treat the more than human world in a way that just feels like yes, yes, like there I am. So what I know about myself, and I think this is true for a lot of people, is if I don't do that 5 minute check-in in the morning, I start to forget who I am. And I start to forget that thing it's so odd to say, Sean, because it's like it's so much a part of who I am. And I believe it so strongly and I feel it so deeply. And yet I can forget and get sort of further away. And then I'm started acting in ways that I don't really want to be acting. And I'm showing up in ways where I get caught by the culture. I get caught by the trance of the normal world and start to think that performance or my cock size or my clothes matter more than my heart.
Yeah.
And it's easy in this culture to wander down that road and get really lost. A lot of people are, right? Social
Yeah.
media, all this kind of stuff. Like we start to think that there's things outside of us that are more important than things inside. So the daily practice is this daily practice to come home to myself. And sometimes it's 5 minutes, and then sometimes it goes and it ends up being like a half hour or or 2 hours, because it's that kind of day. And so, your question is like, how as men do we bring ourselves to these relationships? Right? How do we start to do this? And to me, it's about really starting to commit to falling in love with myself, to getting connected to, who am I and how do I want to bring myself to the world? And to start to develop the skills that then when I'm in those intense moments, that I have a place to come home to, that I have a place where I know like, oh, here I am doing this breath, being able to be in the present moment. I have some skills, the training for the unknown to be able to do that, so that then when my partner comes and she's having a hard day, that I can stay present and I don't start to blame. I don't start to make excuses for my behavior. I don't start to, gaslight. I don't start to try to, like maneuver around and be like, no, like, no, it wasn't me who didn't unload the dishwasher. Like, no, I have no, God, I have no idea how that thing happened. Like, it wasn't me. You know,
Mhm.
like I watched two guys in the hockey locker room get into an argument, and I talked to both of them independently, and I was like, "You guys are like, just like you're here and you're here. Like, let's just talk about it." And they started to, and they just started both making excuses and blaming the other person. I was like, "Wait, okay, please pause. Let's take some accountability here and responsibility, and not make the excuses." And that's how, like, that comes from loving yourself. When you don't have, like, if I have myself, then I don't need to make excuses. I can just make a mistake and like I forgot to unload the dishwasher. I apologize. I'll do it now.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And you know what? Like even just kind of touching up on what you were just talking about earlier too, kind of segueing, you had mentioned even just some of the societal things like how we have media, like Instagram, social media kind of influencing some of the things, even some of our ideologies. I kind of want to know in your book, The Invitation Beyond. So your book kind of, welcomes readers into kind of, stepping past some of those cultural noise. Can you kind of explain and share with us, like, how they can do that, and what does life look like beyond that noise?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's really, it's beautiful and peaceful. And when again, the invitation beyond, what I call myself a beyonder.
Yeah, I like
And,
that.
and the name of the group is the Beyonders, the men's group. And so what we're doing is we're learning how to cross that threshold into the beyond, into this place where I'm not, again, it's not unlike what I just talked about. When it's like when I have myself, I don't need the approval of my mom. I don't need my resume to look a certain way. I don't need to make a certain amount of money. I don't need to drive a certain car. I don't need to have any external validation of myself because I've got me. I know I'm in love with myself. And I'm not perfect and I love the parts of them that aren't perfect. I'm willing to be with them and keep learning and keep growing and be in that place of like humbly, humbly bringing myself, each day to life and to the world. And so like that's the beautiful place. Like that's the place where we start to come alive.
Yeah, no, that's really, really, really powerful. And I think even just taking a moment and just taking a pause, and like what you were just saying earlier, even just meditating, like being one within yourself. I do think that is such a powerful thing because I think we're just so used to just being on go, 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 go because everything's
Correct.
being thrown at us a million miles an hour. Get this, buy this, go do this, like work yourself into the grave.
Yeah, and there's a lot of in the culture today, it's like there's a lot of influence. There's a lot of influence and a lot of draw to being on team good or team bad. Oh, I'm on team good, you're on team bad. That gives me some credibility. Oh, you're one of those people, I'm one of these people. So we're constantly like othering people. And it's like this like crazy thing of whatever side you're on, that we're taking sides. And to me, it's just like that is not the energy that's going to get us through these challenges.
Hmm.
Othering people and fighting them and like you're the bad person. You're causing this. It's your fault. You're the da, 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 you're the da, da, da. And it's both sides, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like holy crap. I don't spend time in that arena because it makes my nerve it may like my nervous system goes nuts, and I can get pulled in all these directions where I'm like I'm not being the man I know myself to be. And to me, your question was great because it's like what is outside of there, and what's outside of there is authentic connection. What's outside of there is authentic connection with self and with other. Like you said earlier, like we aren't really meant to be here alone. We're meant to be here together. And so let's be in community. Let's dance together. Let's get outside of the nonsense and the noise where we just are angry and pointing at other people. So there's a huge amount to me of peacefulness and of love and of really deep, beautiful connection with again self, other, more than human world. And then what I say in the book and what I just think is so clear is like to me I want to get I want everyone to feel good about themselves. I
Yeah.
want to get past this cultural weirdness where we all feel bad and we all don't feel like we're enough and we should be something else, and we're like like all we have this like negative self-talk going of not of like all like it's a really low vibrational energy. And I'm just like God, can we get in some more interesting trouble than that? Like we can spend a lot of our life, trying to feel like enough, or we could just try to get there sooner. Why I like working with young people? Like, imagine if we got there where you were really like solid in self by 18 or 16 or 10, whatever. Then like launch from the beyond off into really interesting territory that I would say is like, that's the avenue out of the messes that we're in, the wicked problems of the world.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I just like to say is, Bayoaka Malafe, who's this beautiful, beautiful man. If you haven't heard him speak and talk, I would highly recommend it. But he says, times are urgent. Times are urgent. Let us slow down. Let us slow down. And to me, that is such a beautiful message of saying what happens in the beyond, what happens outside of all the noise, is things start to slow down. And then we're able to have an interaction, a human connection like we're having. You're able to be with your partner in those intimate, beautiful moments of joyfulness, of pleasure, of sensuality, of just all these, all the sexy juiciness of it. And in the heartbreak moments when a diagnosis comes, or a kid dies, or life goes sideways, you lose whatever it might be. Like, then we're able to be in those moments and be really present, slow, here, not in all the crazy town that's going.
Yeah. And that's so beautifully put. Because yeah, we're definitely in trying times. We haven't been like, we're so divided in the world, and I do hope that we do find a way to unite, because yeah, to your point, imagine what this world could be if we just united. Imagine what this world could be, to your point earlier, if we could start to try to instill that sense of unity, even for for younger kids, when they're the most formative parts of their lives.
Yeah. Yes. 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 And I think something that's really important in there, Sean, to me is a place of it's easy to get caught in this thing of, well, if like I'm not doing enough, I should be, like, well, does it, like I'm just a dude with, two kids in Portland, Oregon, with, in a beautiful, loving, like, incredible relationship. Um, what impact am I having? Like, I'm not solving the big, huge, wicked problems of the world. It's easy to think like, oh, who am I? What? And I'm just like, no, 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 no. Like, whoa, please, let's pause that narrative, because you and me connecting right here is opening a conduit for a different kind of conversation than has ever happened before. And the energies of the cosmos, the way that I like to say it, are looking for ways in. And they aren't making an evaluation of, oh, you're solving the Israel Palestine problem, or you're in a relationship, you're in a relationship with your partner, bringing the same kind of energy to that healing and understanding and passion and compassion and all that. Like, energetically, there's a vibration that can be the same.
Yeah.
So when we are in our lives with meaning and purpose and care and dignity and compassion and love and all the things that we believe in, it actually is creating a vibration in the world that is that energy. So for me, again, like, what is it to be in the beyond? It's about living every moment in total devotion to being part of the solution to the world in this beautiful, small, slow way, that what I believe is and it's all I can do. You know what I mean? Like I'm not at the negotiating table in Israel. I'm not in the situation room. I'm here in my house with my loving partner and my kids, you know? Like, I'm here and I can do this. I know how to do this. I can do this. And so instead of sitting here being like, well, fuck, I should be working on that problem over there, and then like sitting around and doing nothing, like, that's not very useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
now my house isn't in order and that thing isn't getting solved. And I'm just in this place of like, what can we do? And it's like, well, that's not, you know, and as I get stronger and I live each moment, each day in full passion, compassion, understanding, learning, humility, grace, that is the biggest contribution. If that's not enough, but things keep opening. I mean, that's, like, it's kind of amazing how things do open when you start to live in that way. And when I start to live in that.
Yeah. That's a really good point of view. I really, really, really appreciate that insight, and I know our listeners definitely appreciate that as
Yeah.
well, because
Yeah.
it is bigger than all of us, and it is, like, because, like, yeah, sometimes we do kind of feel a little bit of help, like, oh, well, I'm only one person, what can I do? But yeah, having like that mindset doesn't solve problems.
It does. It just we get caught in it, and then no one's doing. And then again, like back to that, like everyone bringing their beautiful, unique gift. Like if you're just frustrated because your contribution isn't big enough, and then you aren't doing anything, and you're just sitting around playing video games all day long, or eating bonbons, or like chugging Coke or whatever, it's like that's actually not contributing to anything other than the downward spiral. And if each of us just were to take steps towards living in the upward spiral, connecting into that man I know or woman I know myself to be, person I know myself to be, and we each lived each day in full passion and full awareness and full just in the messiness of being present with each other and in the love that gets generated in that place, things would really shift.
Yeah, yeah, that is so true, so true.
Yeah. And so like if I could leave anything, for the listeners of just saying like, you know, it's the little things matter, and they do start to cascade and create the upward spiral. And it's not about being perfect, and it's not about even being good. It's not about any of that. It's about action. It's just about being willing to be in, to be just sit for 5 minutes and see what happens. You aren't going to break meditation. Like if you sit for 5 minutes and you do something that's just totally sideways, I promise you that like the God of meditation isn't going to come down and like curse, like take you away or damn you. You know, sit for 5 minutes and like, it's a beautiful effort. It's a beautiful contribution. It's like, great. That's how we learn. We just start doing action, like just caring and loving self and others.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And and that kind of segues into like my last question before we head over to the listener submissions.
Love it.
You know, you kind of like just you left us with some really good information. I kind of want to know, as far as, people that may feel stuck in their transition right now, like how can someone kind of, I guess, navigate past the uncertainty, if they're feeling lonely or afraid, and yeah. Oh, I guess, what steps would you encourage them to take?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one is just, it's such a tender place. Like it is just when you're stuck and you're feeling down, it's challenging, so just so much like heart and compassion. And again, morganrich.com/courage. There is like a download for listeners, and they can schedule a 15-minute call if that would be helpful, to just get to help with those moments. And it's a place of finding traction. It's like it's like um starting to stack wins. Like what can I do in this moment that's going to help me feel good about myself? So when I got in the cold water and I freaked out, I was like, that's not helpful. Okay, so I'm just going to have 1 second. Like I'm going to get in the water and I have 1 second of calm. And so I did that, and then I also reflected like I'm getting into cold water and I'm giving myself shit for not staying long enough. Like, what the hell's going on in my head that I'm giving myself a hard time? I would go to yoga class. I'd go to yoga and I'd spend 90 minutes in a hot yoga class looking at everybody else, feeling like I wasn't good enough and feeling bad about myself. And I'm like, I'm going to yoga. Like I'm actually at the class. I'm not sitting on my ass at home. So like
Yeah.
getting the narrative going is really, really like how we talk to ourselves is super crucial. We didn't talk a lot about that, but that is like really important,
Yeah.
how we tell our story. But I want to come back to those like, so it's like finding the way to have just little wins, little wins, little wins. And and then celebrating them in the sense of honoring, just like I said, like you're going to class or you're getting out of bed or you're not drinking the Coke or you're, and it's like finding, it's like you got to kind of work, where is the place where I can engage, where I can do something that's gonna help move the traction forward.
Yeah.
And then I do that thing, and then I find the next thing, you know, and then I find the next thing. And even if you fail and suck at it, you can go like, wow, here I am. making an effort. Here I am having the desire to get my ass out of bed this morning, even though it's really hard and the floor is cold. I at least have the desire to get up. And like, what an amazing thing that is. Oh, look at that. I actually took the cover off of, and started to go. Right. So it's like, right. And again, when you're in a hard place, some of that creativity and like giving yourself credit for things, it can be challenging. But and the hard, those early steps are hard. They're hard. They're some of the hardest. Like once you get some momentum going, get the upward spiral going,
Yeah.
things start to open in a way that where you start to have some more oomph. So just a lot of energy, blessings to all, anyone who is in that struggling place, and to just know that like those are the most, the most, if all of us told our story about the most meaningful moments in our lives, they would all be about the times when we were in the darkness.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where you learn. That's where you're forged. That's where you become whole. When my dad died, like that was so painful. Like I wanted out. I wasn't suicidal, but if I had gotten hit by a train, it would have been a blessing. But those were some of the most meaningful, important moments of my life that I just kept sticking with and worked my way through breath by breath, day by day, moment by moment.
Yeah. And it made you who you are today. So, I'm glad that you're here with us, and I'm glad that you're helping so many people.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Honor again, like just beautiful conversation. And thank you for the, your presence and listening. It's great.
Likewise. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, can you do me a really quick favor? Can you please rate and review this podcast? Like hit that 5-star review, because I do read all the reviews because this helps me know how this podcast is helping others and how this podcast is serving you, because my job as a host is to serve you this podcast the way that you would prefer it to be. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Ready for it?
I'm ready for it. I'm so curious and excited.
All right. So this first one says, this year, I really want to build my self-confidence again. I lost this from past relationships/friendships, and I want to go back to being true to myself and loving life. I want to learn my worth again, with the heart like emoticon with the hands.
Yeah.
So is this hinged or unhinged? Let us know. Green flag, red flag.
Oh, I mean, I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I would say hinged.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. I think you'd probably say the same, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's like, and I'm sorry that this person went through something. I'm glad that they're trying to find their true self again. I think this was perfect for what we're talking about. We've been talking about for the past hours, trying to, take some time with themselves. So I'm hoping that even just listening to what you've offered and that information, that they use this to kind of help find like that worth in themselves again.
Absolutely. And inside of that, you can just hear all this desire, like all this, yeah, it's been hard. Like I had this hard situation. And now here I am on this edge of being like, okay, I realize now that there's more that I want. I want something else. So inside of that is this beautiful desire, drive, courage to start to open, to start to say like, okay, I can step back in here. I know a little bit more than I did before. So now let's have a really juicy, fun year that, there might be more challenges in there, but that's part of life. Like this, that's part of the juiciness and deliciousness of, this isn't all easy.
Yeah.
We aren't here just to be like, oh yeah, it's all great. No, we're going towards the hard stuff.
Exactly. And I like what you said earlier, like being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I like that.
Yeah, totally.
This next one says, dating me is like hell.
Oh,
what do we think here? Let's unpack this one.
Unpack this one. So intrigued. Dating me is like hell. Yeah, I mean, I would go on the unhinged side of that. Just if we're doing that part. But just I think it. Yeah. Again, this is like the last question you asked. Of like, obviously there's some pain in here. There's something going on here where there's some pain, and it might be that they don't like how they're bringing themselves to a relationship. which is, if dating me is like hell, then there's got to be a low self-image there. And so some of that, how do you find that ground, that foundation to say like, okay, how do I start to love myself? How do I start to love myself? Because there's no way anyone else can love you unless, no one else can love me unless I love me.
Exactly.
And the degree to which I love me is the degree to which I'm available to be loved and to share love.
Yeah.
So, to me, this is a play. This is sort of a call out to say like, okay, yeah, hell. And it's like, okay, great. So you're in the dark, you're in the darkness. This time of year is dark. The holidays are here. They distract us from how dark it is, but it's dark. And in the dark is where a lot of beautiful foundational work comes. Like what I always think about is the leaves are off the tree. So now the roots are down deep in the ground, pulling all the nutrients, and they're growing and they're expanding and they're doing all the work, the foundational under the ground, nitty gritty, beautiful work that's actually going to turn and pull the nutrients up into the tree and become leaves in the spring. And it's shit that you don't see. You don't see that stuff happening because it's underground. So hell is down there too, if you believe in that. And so there's a lot of beautiful foundational work that can get done.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said, 1000%. And even just like, for even just going to like the sciencey part of things, like, yeah, like we know at first there was nothing, but then there was like a big bang that happened, and now we're all here and we're a beautiful thing. Life is a beautiful creation. So I mean, yeah. so
Right? Totally. Yep. Yep. And just Matt, just a huge amount of compassion. That's yeah, when you're in a hard place, it can be dark,
yeah.
and so you try to, and just a lot of love and a lot of respect for the courage that it takes to keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up. And again, those are the moments when it's nice to have someone along to hang out, a friend, yourself, a tree, a bird. That's part of my practice too, is reaching to the natural world and being like, okay, you weather storms. I say to the trees, you're flexible and you're bendable and you're beautiful, and it gets windy and you get thrashed and sometimes limbs fall off in this, but it's like, but you know how to survive and get through that. I can do that. I just can breathe right here and just know that this is painful and it'll pass if I just keep showing up every day doing my practice, that eventually things will shift, because that's what happens in life. The sunny days do come.
Perfectly put. I couldn't have said that any better.
Even in Portland.
Yeah, exactly. Even for the folks in Washington, cloudy Washington.
That's right.
We love you guys out there. This last one says, all I ask is that I'll be asking for a lot, period. Is this hinged or unhinged?
Yeah, I like how you read it. Yeah, I mean that feels pretty hinged, and I would say hinged with nuance,
I like
right?
that approach. Yeah.
Like hinged with nuance, because it's like I love asking for what I want. I want people to ask for what they want. Like that feels really really important. Um, to be able to say, here's what I want, here's what I need. Is a really tender and vulnerable place. It requires a lot of trust and a lot of intimacy and a lot of connection. Um, and there's a place of like being responsive and respectful of your partner, and not needing them to meet all of your needs, or to that it's not their job to make you happy, or it's not their, I'll be asking for a lot. There's a little bit of like, you know there's something in there. This, it's a little saucy. So
Yeah.
yeah, what's your take?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It does kind of like I like that, at least they know, it sounds like they know what they want or what they're going to be asking of that person. But I do agree with it, like as far as like, yeah, we can't expect for our partners to just carry everything and we just cruise on through life. It does have to be a shared experience. And even just as far as just like the love and the happiness, yeah, that all comes from within. But that partner, people that we choose to bring into our lives, are extensions of the happiness that we've already created for ourselves and within. So
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, there's a piece of it that what I want, for the person and for everyone, is like we're in partnership.
yeah.
Like we're in a loving partnership. And it's not about me doing a bunch of things for you or you doing a bunch of things for me. It's about us doing stuff for us. And like, let's be in this together,
Mm-hmm.
thriving, loving, deepening, getting into the good trouble of life.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I've never done this before with the guests, but I kind of just want to like, can you just set like an attention for all three of these prompts? What would you tell somebody based off all three of these prompts, like an attention to like, feel and be within themselves? What would be like your one piece of advice?
Mm, yeah, I would say, um, learn, love yourself,
Yeah.
love yourself, like fall in love with yourself. And, to me, that's the root of it, because when you're there, then all of this opens, and some of the questions will shift.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That was so amazing. I really appreciate everything that you've done here today
Mm,
with us, Morgan. Like, thank you so much for coming on. You've been a light, you've been an insight, and just dropping so
mm.
much knowledge. Can you share with our listeners, where we can find you, connect, your social media, whatever you want to advertise? Let us know.
Let us know. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, Sean, honor. Like really, just to, again, appreciate your energy, your positivity, the messages you're bringing out to the world, your playfulness, your deep, you just listening and respect is really, it's one of those ripples.
Thank you.
And it's like that to me, those are the ways that we get into life, and that is to me the solution for what we're doing. Morganrich.com. I've said /courage is for, a resource for the listeners. My YouTube is at Morgan Rich Beyonder. There's all kinds of good videos uh, from way back, from recently. So there's one. Morganrich.substack.com is more of my content. And then I am on Instagram, and I think it's Morgan Rich _Beyonder there. I have an interesting relationship with social media because of all the stuff we talked about. That I'm there, and it's not one of my high priorities. So
Yeah.
the YouTube, the Substack, and then the website are really great ways. And you can find contact information on my website.
Perfect. Love that. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube or watching on Spotify, you just saw all of his socials pop up on the screen and everything. So, and then for those listening to the audio version, we'll drop all the links in the show notes and the description of this episode so you can connect and start working with Morgan, because all the advice that he gave here is very valuable information. And you all just got a taste of that for free. So, the best way
Yeah.
that you can help us out is working with Morgan.
That's sweet. And I just thought of something else, which is Hadley, my partner, and I. We have a program called Find Your Path, and
Ooh,
Find Your Path is for young people who are in the place of trying to decide. It's for young people and older people, because when we said to young people, "Hey, we're just working with young people," all these older people said, "Like, wait, I want to find my path too." So it's a program here in Portland, residential program, 3 months, and day program, where we help people really do this work, connect in. And it's the idea of like, before I launch off into that college experience, before I launch off into the world, before I find that new job, let me get really connected in here. So you can find that on the website also. It's just a beautiful, really important program, and feel honored to be offering it.
wonderful, wonderful. You all heard it here first. So definitely get in contact with Morgan and like, yeah, start the work on your journey. Love that. Love
Keep
that.
dancing.
Yes, yes, there you go. Keep on dancing. And if you want to submit your stories or questions or anything like that to the show, for those that are tuning in, go to situationspodcast.com/submit and then subscribe. We're everywhere. Make sure that you follow, like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. It helps other people find the show. And yeah, so whether on a boat, a plane, a train, hey, maybe you could be Morgan's neighbor 3 doors down. You can listen to Situations podcast with you. We're everywhere. Listen to us. Take us everywhere you go.
Take us.
Awesome. Well, with that, I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Woo!